With the new expansion, it will be much easier to get double yield. Let me explain. In Season 3, we will get new mining sets or harvesting sets that will give us extra yield, which will give us 1.5 extra yield per piece. So if we have 5 pieces in total, we will gain an extra 7.5% yield on our pieces. So this means that if we combine it with the new mining pick, with the mithril pick or any harvesting tool, we'll also gain another 21%. So we will go from 19% to 21%. That will give us about a 10% wiggle room, actually a 9.5% extra wiggle room to gain double yield. Meaning that if we do all the calculations, we will get about a 212% extra yield when actually gathering in the open world. But there's a lot of requirements that we will have to meet before we can get double yield in the next expansion. But also know that it will be much easier than in the current patch. So let's begin. To get double yield, you will need a territory buff. So as you can see here, Syndicate currently owns Brimstone, and I'm Syndicate. So if you go to your bio, you will see that I will get a faction bonus. So my faction is currently owning Brimstone, so I get a gathering yield of 10%. Also, we have the Brimstone point controlled, so the control point in Brimstone also gives you 10%. That's already 20% extra yield. And as you can see here, I have a house in Brimstone, so I get Lumberjack Sprint, which gives me another 20% yield, which makes 40. And of course, as you can see here, this is dependent on the company owning the territory, so they can put up these buffs on the town board. So every house that you own can have this buff. So I have a house here, I have a house here, and Everfall also has a house. Or sorry, Windsward has a house. So if I go here and I go to Windsward, you will see that there's a buff in Windsward as well. So I get this 20% buff from Windsward. So that's why it's important to actually own houses in territories that's popular and support the companies that actually puts up buffs in their territory. For example, they just placed the buff here, and I'm also supporting this company because they placed the buff in the territory. So when picking a house, just make sure you check if there's any buffs in the territory. So for Windsward there's a buff, for Brimstone there's a buff, and I'm betting there's a buff in Everfall as well, because these 3 territories are the most popular territories. So you will be looked after. In the next expansion, I expect that Eden Grove will also have this buff, since Eden Grove will make a lot of money for companies. All the top tier companies should probably have this buff, but just go to your map or to the territory, go into their inventory, and you can see if their buff is activated. So now you know that the buff is active. So moving on. We now know that I have 40% yield. The other way you're going to get yield is from your tool, which will be 21%. And of course from your attributes. Each attribute also has yield. So for strength, here's a 10%. Of course, dexterity will be skinning 10%. In the next patch, they say that for strength, you will get 20% yield instead of 10%. But for all the other skills, it will be 10%. So if you're somebody that likes to go and mine, you will have an advantage. Another way to increase your proficiency is to actually pop proficiency boosters, which you can find at the engineering station. As you can see here you can gain an extra 15% proficiency. So these are all the ways that you can increase your proficiency. Let's go back to my screen. As you can see here, your base yield is 100%. You have a gathering set, which will be the new gathering set here. It will increase your proficiency by 7.5%. The new gathering tool, the attribute, which will be 10% for most classes, except for mining, it will be 20%. Then you also have your Fortune Favor song. As you can see here, I have the song that I've played. You can basically level your music and you can play the song by pressing your button and picking a song. And if you pick the song, the status bar Fortune Favor, you will get this effect. Of course, we talked about the proficiency booster, owning a faction territory. For example, I'm Syndicate and Brimstone was owned by Syndicate, so I get a 10% increase. And there was a town project that increased my yield when I actually go and chop some trees. So if you calculate all of these buffs together, you will get 193.5%. But we also control the Brimstone Fort, which will increase it by 10%. So that 10% means that you take this number and you times it by 10% and you will get 19.35%, which will give us a total of 212% extra yield. This means that we have a little bit of wiggle room to play with. This means that you could either buy a weak proficiency booster that's only 5%, or you do not have to own the territory, or you do not have to have the gathering set. Meaning that all in all, if we calculate everything together, we have about a 10% wiggle room where one of these 10% buffs can fall away. Or you can just buy a lesser proficiency booster which will be cheaper. And the weak one is the cheapest and it will still give you 5%. You can now use a weak proficiency booster to get double yield, is the main takeaway. But you will still have to meet all the other requirements here. And also remember, in the next patch, you will be able to cap the fort for 1 hour. So for example, if you go into the game, we currently have the Brimstone Fort. If they cap this in the next patch, the fort will be capped for 1 hour. This means that you have 1 hour of farming where you can get an extra 10% yield. And if you also have all the other buffs, you go to the bio, if you also have all of these buffs, plus your farming set, plus your tool, it means that you have a whole hour that you can go and farm, get double yield, and make some extra gold. So you can go skin, you can go chop trees, you can go farm some iron in Windsward or Everfall, or just go farm some Mithril in the new territory or the old First Light. So you have a lot of options next patch to make double gold and utilize double yield. This also will rely on the companies to actually put up buffs in the territories. If you're a company leader or you're just some player playing, press the companies to actually put up these buffs and utilize it. It's only 2,500 gold to put up these buffs. Just press the companies to do it and benefit the whole community in your server. I would like to thank Hodger for showing me this tip. He actually showed me this, all the new crafting yields and so forth. He's basically the main guy that actually theory crafts the M11 website. If you don't know, he's a big theory crafter at the PvE side of the game. He helps contribute to the M11 site. So give this man a follow on Twitch. He also has a YouTube channel, which I will drop in the description. I will drop his Twitch and his YouTube channel in the description. So go and give this guy a follow. He's one amazing individual. If you've liked this video, consider subscribing. I post new World videos every week.